Welcome back to Lucky Underdogs. I'm Joe DeLeon filling in today, and with me, former Notre Dame football player Corey Holmes. Corey, we've got a good bit to get to on today's
Yes,
episode.
indeed.
Folks,
Yes,
make sure
indeed.
if you're tuning in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Corey, we had a lot that happened this past week. We had the pro day. CJ was
Mm-hmm.
there. We had
Yeah,
some news regarding Riley Leonard, some news
yeah.
regarding Jeremiyah Love. We're going to get to that today, but the pro day, we had some exciting outcomes. We had Audric Estime improving on
We
his
sure did.
40 time.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was really looking forward to see, right? Because we know, at the combine didn't look too well on the clock, and I was hoping that he was going to improve his numbers, and he did just that. He ran 4.58, so that was a big improvement from the 4.7. I'm not sure where in the 4.7s he ran, but wasn't what we were expecting because I thought he was a guy that showed like really good straight line speed on the field. So my hope is that they don't really consider what maybe he did at the combine, see that he ran faster at the pro day, and just look at the tape. I mean, come on, like it's me. I'm always a guy that's gonna go off the tape more so than the numbers. Like if your tape stands out and is off the charts like Audrey Estimate was. I mean, he has that on top of the numbers. Then, that's not something I'm worried about. But yeah, Joel was another guy that we got a chance to see. He did his position drills and whatnot, and he's also a guy that we're looking forward to see. But he, Audric Estimate, I think that was the only thing that he did, right? It was just the 40.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of like one of the interesting takeaways from all this is because most of the guys who tested
Mm-hmm.
weren't any of the premier players. Joe Alt didn't do any of the athletic testing. It was mostly the on-field stuff that he
Yeah, just
chose to do. And I mean, he did so well at the combine that he almost didn't really need to go out there and do anything. He's one of those guys where I almost kind of like Marvin Harrison Jr., where I almost even wonder, was it necessary for him to do any of the testing? Because you're
right.
talking about the film, you put on the film for Joe Alt, he looks so freaking good that you can just
Yeah.
go off of that and know he's going to be maybe a potential all-pro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, Jaw is a guy. He's another guy I'm looking forward to seeing. He just checks all the boxes, right? Like, he's a good run blocker, right? He's going to be great in pass protection. Now, the only worry I have is that, I mean, the dude's massive, right? But that can also kind of, be your demise, in the sense that in the NFL, we got these are top tier rushers that got crazy bend. If you see if a guy like Von Miller, he's what like a foot off of the ground coming around the edge. So taller guys typically have issues with that. But just knowing him and knowing the program he's coming from, I really don't think he should have any problems. And I mean, hey, you got guys like McGlinchey, one of my former teammates, was about the same height, about a 6'9". He's been in the league for I don't even know how many years and having success. So I think Joe is going to be he's going to be like a day one starter. We already know he's going to be a day one starter, but no, I think he's going to have a lot of production, in year one. So I'm really looking forward to Joe. Really looking forward to Joe.
Joe Alt obviously ends up being the poster boy for the draft class here for Notre Dame. I do want to quickly go back to Estimé because he ends up being, I think, the biggest headline. And of course, Maris Loifeld does some of the testing, and guys like actually JD Bertrand didn't even run a 40 time, which might be to his benefit, not putting a time on tape.
Strengths, right?
Right, look good in the drills. But Estimé, though, you brought up him getting that better time. I was at the NFL Combine covering it with Believe, and it was so strange seeing him run that 4.7 time that he did, because you just brought up on tape when you watch him and you watch him in the games, I think of that one run that he had against NC State, like where he just completely separates from most defenders. It's crazy that he even tracked that slow. Like, I don't even know how that is possible. And part of me kind of wonders the 4.5 if NFL teams are going to hang on that 4.7. I would kind of hope that's not the case because he's so talented.
Sometimes it's nerves, right? Like, people don't understand too, like how much technique goes into the 40. He could have popped up a little early. Like, it's so much that goes into just those tenths of a second, right? Like, that's really what it is and what it comes down to. So I wouldn't hang that over his head. If I'm a NFL GM or NFL head coach or scout, however you want to put it, that dude, he's still gonna be stiff arming dudes on Sundays. He's still gonna be running past people, running over people. So if I'm an NFL team, I want Audric Estime on my team, regardless of what he's running. I mean, come on, we've seen running backs run slow. I mean, that's not a thing. If
Mm.
anything, running backs that run slow and have success in the NFL are probably in the majority. Like, come on, like there's not that many running backs that are running sub 4.5s. Let's be honest. Like, we're seeing DBs and wide receivers do it, but running backs, I mean, I'm not expecting that anyway. So if you ask me, it shouldn't be an issue. What was cool though with this pro day this year? They were letting guys, and I like that Indeed does this though, but they let guys who graduated and transferred out come back. Because I was a guy who
Mm.
that was my experience. I had transferred out. I had, did a year at Purdue, did a year actually at Morgan State. Morgan State was my last school. So, the exposure that obviously that you get at Morgan State doesn't really compare to Notre Dame. So I, myself reached out to the program and they let me come back. It was cool. And I really appreciate that, appreciate them for that. But it was funny. They was just like, Court, did you graduate from Notre Dame? You should. I'm like, yeah, hold on. We have to check with some people who come back. I'm like, listen, I graduated from Notre Dame, man. I got my degree. I promise you. Come on, please let me come back. But they let me come back, and it was a great experience. But like guys like Joe Wilkins, he had
Yeah.
transferred out. Avery Davis, those were guys that transferred out. They allowed them to come back. It looks like Avery Davis tested pretty well too. I got the numbers up here in front of me. He ran a 4.5, 4.3 in the shuttle, 35-inch vert. So no, that was really good to see. It was really good to see. Then some guys come back, and then also guys like Audric Estimé do well in running that 40 again. And guys like Joe Watt looking good in their drills. And Sam Hartman threw right. Didn't he throw at pro day?
That is a great question. I know that he didn't really do any of the
Yeah,
testing, but man, he was at the combine. Then he had a little bit of a rough go because he's one of those
oh yeah,
guys who's going to look really good on the field when everything's going
yeah,
on. But like asking
yeah.
him to throw a deep ball next to Joe Milton's not exactly going
Yeah.
to turn out very good.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, that's just being real. But he's another guy, just like Audrey Estimé. You know what I mean? Like the film really speaks for itself, if you ask me. I wish, Sam Hartman had more opportunities, maybe towards the end, or the latter of the year, the end of the year, to really showcase his abilities. Because I mean, you can't say because I don't want to hear people say, oh, he didn't do it against the good schools. Because look back
Mm.
at Wake Forest, he was balling on all of the schools in the ACC. So it's like, don't tell me, that it was, he can't rise to the occasion. I'm a big Sam Hartman fan. Again, we didn't really get, we didn't get the national championship out of him last year. Of course, that's always the expectation at Notre Dame. Whatever. I think he was a great quarterback for us, and I think he's going to be good in the NFL. I think if you're a guy, if you're a guy that can just protect the football and just make good decisions, I feel like you'll always have a spot in the NFL as a quarterback. You can protect the ball, just make good decisions, move the ball, be efficient. You got a spot on the team. And who's that? That's Sam Hartman. So I think he'll be fine. I'm looking forward to seeing Sam Hartman at the next level.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with Sam. Kind of last thoughts on this before we jump to our next topic.
Mhm.
He is exactly that kind of guy that you look for in a backup. He kind of gives me like Case
Right,
Keenum vibes, where Case
right.
Keenum was so productive. He was around college football for so long. And I think
Mhm.
I forget which passing record he owns, but because he has all of those reps underneath his belt, it helps his case for him to stick on a roster as a backup. And you just want somebody who is going to be know how to handle certain situations, is going to know the
Yep.
playbook front to back. He comes from two extremely good academic institutions. I don't
Right.
think there's ever really a world, and this kind of tried to. There was some steam that was falsely built up at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
The argument that Sam Hartman could win the Heisman, Sam Hartman could be a first round pick. I don't think that's was ever really a realistic possibility because he doesn't have the
Yeah.
physical tools. But he
Yeah.
checks every box to be a great backup, and I think that he could be
Exactly.
one of those guys that sticks for a while.
Yeah. Well, you know who I think of when I think of Sam Hartman. Now, of course, you always want to go and be a starter day one. That should be your mindset, of course. But a guy like Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew really was a
Yeah,
backup. And we discovered Gardner Minshew, from the role that he had as a backup, getting thrown into the fire and just taking advantage of his opportunity. I think that could be, like the path for Sam Hartman. Now Gardner Minshew, he just got traded, right? Where did he just get traded to from the Colts?
The sign with the Raiders. It was the
Yeah, right.
Raiders. Yeah,
He's in competition. That's right. They have him in competition with O'Connell, for a
yep.
starting role there. I could easily see that being the case with Sam Hartman. Is he going to be a starter day one? No, but can he be a backup? To your point, yes, he can. And in my opinion, like I said, I think he's somebody could be a Gardner Minshew. He can travel along that same path where he might start as a backup, but once he gets that opportunity, I got Sam Hartman taking advantage of it. I think Sam Hartman would be a guy that take advantage of the opportunity and might not even let it, he might not get that starting role back up. Depending on the situation, of course, depending on the franchise he goes to, you don't really want it to be maybe like a quarterback getting hurt, he fills in. That is of course, if you're rooting for Sam Hartman to be a starting quarterback one day. But man, I hope he gets a shot. I hope he gets a shot, man, because he's a good quarterback. It didn't end well at Notre Dame. And I'm saying that because, of course, that's national championship. Just because he fell short of the national championship, it's a failure. But no, I don't think it's a failure. But yeah, no. All in all, Sam Harden, you're a dog, bro. Good luck to you at the next level. I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of Notre Dame quarterbacks and signal callers, there was actually kind of got a lot of buzz in the college football world. This story of Riley Leonard having to undergo surgery. Apparently, in mid-January, he underwent tightrope surgery in order to stabilize an issue with his right ankle, and then now he's getting another procedure that is going to sideline him for the next few weeks. That is supposed to address a stress fracture that was beginning to develop in his foot. This issue of him and his availability in the spring, this is during practices. It kind of seems like he's probably not going to be around for most of the rest of these practices. Just from like your thoughts on having gone through spring ball, especially as a receiver, without having a quarterback, especially a new guy that's supposed to be the starter that needs these reps. How much do you think that this could maybe hurt the offense if he's not fully available?
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks because, and we said this in past episodes, like it's that time to kind of gain that chemistry, kind of gain that rhythm as a quarterback and a wide receiver unit. So, it's rough. It's rough. But do I think, it's like the end of the world? No, because I think there will be that time in the summer. You got 7-on-7s that you're running during the summertime. Yeah, there's no coaches out there, but, Riley Leonard kind of has like the gist, he kind of understands the playbook, at least at this point. And even with his injury, you can still take mental reps in practice. And he did get an opportunity to get maybe, I think, a few practices in with them. If it wasn't maybe some 7-on-7s, right, leading up to spring ball. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. But man, it sucks, yo, because I think CJ was kind of alluding to it last week. I don't know if you remember. CJ, he was just like, man, don't worry about it. Riley Leonard's going to be good for the fall. So it's like, I think that's just what we need to, turn our attention to, and look at the glass half full. Riley Leonard's going to be good, for the fall. I've read some reports too that, the doctors feel his ankle stronger than it was before. So after the second procedure, so I'm confident that will be good by the fall. Yeah, are we missing out on reps on gaining that chemistry in the spring? Yeah, but like I said, it's still the summertime. People don't understand how important really the summer even is. And I'm talking about the summer before camp, right? Like where you're actually just out there just running routes with your quarterback. Yeah, you're doing 7-on-7 against, like the linebackers and the safeties and corners. So you're still getting good, valuable reps there. Like you're still gaining chemistry even in those times. So they got plenty of opportunities really to be on the same page. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you there. As important as the spring ball reps could be for initiating that early chemistry, this isn't an injury. It's not like he suffered a serious knee injury that's going to take an extended period of time for him to recover from. This is just figuring out and trying to fix that foot, that ankle, that situation. And it kind of gets overlooked and forgotten about because the way that Duke fell out of the spotlight as quickly as they did last year, as soon as he got hurt, the injury that he suffered was pretty significant. We saw it against Notre Dame, how banged up he was, and then he tries to come back against Florida State. Trying to play through something like that, it's one of those injuries where you try to fight through it. You're trying to be tough, and you commend a guy like Riley Leonard for trying to do that. But at the same time, it's just going to make it worse. It's just going to make
kind
it
of doing yourself a disservice almost,
Right, you're just damaging the heck out of it, and I respect him for trying to go out there and win ball games for Duke, and they almost beat Florida State.
Yeah.
But this is just part of the process. As long as I think, like you're talking about, he's back in the summer, he's back in June, and when they're throwing and they're lifting and getting ready for the year, that's really the most important part. And then eventually that lead up in training camp.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, I think they'll be fine. Like I said, he's already pretty far along, I guess, in the recovery process. Like I said, they're saying that the ankle's going to be looking stronger than ever. So we don't really have nothing to really worry about there. And then we're talking about Riley Leonard, dude's a competitor. I mean, to your point, like they still almost beat a Florida State. That dude, when he's healthy, he's going to be a problem. Yo, when I say I was really rooting Riley Leonard on when he was at Duke, like before we even played him, I was just like, yo, this quarterback at Duke, this dude's nice. Like, this dude's actually nice. Like, I'm actually a fan of his. And then when I found out he was coming to Notre Dame, I said, oh man, we're in good hands. We're in good hands. I like, because it's one thing to be able to throw the ball well. It's even one thing to be able to run the ball well. But like when you just have like that dog mentality too, on top of that, you're just going to galvanize your teammates. And that's the type of guy Riley Leonard is. And that's what I'm looking forward to see. Just how he affects the teammates and how he affects really just like the attitude and the identity of the Notre Dame team. That's what I'm looking forward to see. Yeah.
I also want to add, before we get to our thoughts on something related to Jeremiyah Love, I think that this is going to be a fun opportunity for us to see who emerges as that second quarterback. And I'm really excited for the opportunity to see what things look like during the spring game. And that's always not exactly an indication of how things are turning, because there's plenty of opportunities where I think it was like I forget which, there was a Utah quarterback who like went 15 for 15 in a spring game and everyone lost their mind, and then he got beat out and transferred. But I wonder if a guy like Kenny Minchey doesn't start to build some momentum and maybe establish himself as the second guy, or if somebody like Stephen Jelly takes advantage of this opportunity to really showcase himself, put together some really good film, and then tries to enter the transfer portal. There's just so much that can happen. And also, I mean, CJ Carr is going to get the opportunity to get reps, who the true freshman comes in and is here early, that probably he wouldn't have gotten if it wasn't for this injury to Riley Leonard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, it's a great opportunity for all of these guys. The QB1's out right now, and all the reps are theirs to take advantage of. So, Stephen Jelly, you made a good point though. I like Stephen Jelly when he got his moments. When Sam Hart, like when they're up big on teams and he got his moments. I actually liked him. So that's a good point that you made there. Looking forward to seeing him in the spring game. But yeah, it's you learn how much depth you have in this time of the year in the spring games, right? Like you find out, all right, what guys, in game time situations can you count on? Because that's really what the spring game is. Or, the guys at least should be approaching it like it's an actual game. That's always the mentality in those type of environments. But yeah, no, good opportunity for all of these quarterbacks, and we're really going to see, where we are, with the guys in that quarterback room. So, great opportunity for these guys.
Now, the last headline that really caught my attention coming out of spring ball is Jeremiyah Love, who was the freshman running back last year that had some pretty big performances in a couple of games and was starting to emerge as this spark plug within Notre Dame's offense. It's being reported that they're trying to find as many ways as possible to get this kid the football. He should be possibly not the full-time replacement, but one of the replacements for the carries that Audric Estime got. They're working him in as a slot receiver and as a running back. Now, I wish we had CJ here because, one, he really likes Jeremiyah Love, and he's talked very highly of him on this show, and two, a former receiver / running back would have been interesting to get his perspective on it. We'll have to catch up with him on it next time. But I think this is pretty interesting that they're trying to work this kid in as many ways as possible, and it's just another testament to Mike Denbrock trying to get creative with all these weapons that honestly last year were not very creatively implemented.
Yeah. Look, well, listen, you said CJ liked him. Joe, I like that man too. That boy nice, right? So look, before we got on, you had sent me an article that was per Michael Chen of Fighting Irish Wire. Headline says, Notre Dame trying to get Jeremiyah Love the ball as much as possible. Music to my ears. Say less. That boy nice. And we're talking about, Florida, because I say this all the time. Notre Dame, put the names on the back of the jerseys, please. This is number 12. This is number 12, running back number 12. And like you said earlier, like they're gonna be working him in the slot. Yo, get this dude the ball any way you can. Jeremiyah Love, number 12, is gonna be a household name next year. Like I'm glad they're gonna be, because what he showed me last year was that he's just a playmaker. Because there was a lot of guys that were getting touches, there was a lot of guys getting carries last year. So it was really a situation where you just had to make the most of it when you were given the opportunity. This dude showed me something every time he touched the ball. Right. So now to read this headline, Notre Dame is trying to get Jeremiyah Love the ball as much as possible. I'm co-signing it. I love to see it. I hope the dude score like 20 touchdowns next year, because I think he's that nice. I'll be honest. I think he's that nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yo, say less. Say less.
I think back to last year, paying attention to LSU's offense, and we're obviously going to keep drawing all these parallels to what Mike Denbrock did for LSU last year. And I think early on, Devin and CJ kind of talked about like, oh, could we get this Jaden Daniels type of a season out of Riley Leonard? I look at how Logan Diggs, former Notre Dame running back, former LSU running back, now Ole Miss running back, his usage, right? He's bounced around a lot. His usage in the offense, I think, is going to be very similar to the way that we're going to see Jeremiyah Love starting to work in. And Logan Diggs was a space eater. He was one of those guys that could really kill you once you get him the football in space and try to open things up a little bit more. And that, to me, is what makes the potential future here with Jeremiyah Love very dangerous. I just remember last year, Jared Parker seems like a nice guy, was not really the most innovative offensive play caller that we've seen at Notre Dame. He was running a lot of heavy tight end sets, just trying to run Jeremiyah Love into a very buried offensive line with not a lot of room. And I think that Mike Denbrock is going to, as you're talking about 20 touchdowns, I know that sounds crazy, but we could see some really massive production for him. It was crazy to me that they weren't trying to get him the ball more last year. We said it multiple times on this show. CJ said it multiple times on this show. Jeremiyah Love is the key for offensive production, and we're going to start to see pretty early on that he could take over this share of carries from Audric Estime.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you mentioned Logan Diggs and made the comparison there, but just imagine Logan Diggs, but maybe just a little bit taller and a lot faster. That's Jeremiyah Love, like that's a lot faster. So, and what I hope to see out of Denbrock this year. Now, again, I know we're tight end but one tight end. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we're really gonna have the weapons this year. Give me 11 personnel. I need more 11 personnel. And for y'all who don't know, that's one tight end, one running back, 3 wide receivers, right? I want to see that this year, because we have the numbers. Let's spread them out. And then let's also mention like Riley Leonard, that what he can run, right? So I think if we use all of our players the right way, I'm telling you, like we can have a squad that really is putting up numbers. We can see those 20 touchdowns from a guy like Jeremiyah Love. Maybe it's not 20. Maybe I'm gassing, right? But like we can get at least like 12 touchdowns from a running back who we're using in the backfield, using in the slot, using him as kind of like a gadget guy. He's a gadget guy, and I think we need to take advantage of that. But we got all of these, we got these transfers. CJ said, last week that the transfer from FIU, I'm forgetting his name right now, but all respect to you. But he was looking good. Like he was a fast, shifty guy. I mean, I saw his stats. He went for 1,000 yards at FIU. So
it's Chris Mitchell, by the way, is his name.
Chris Mitchell. Shout out Chris Mitchell. He was a guy who's going for 1,000 yards, at a FIU. So he knows how to make plays. If we can just spread the field out, and I know we got tight ends. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even worried about the tight end position. We'll be able to spread the field out, use the tight end up the seam, use the tight end on all of those option routes in the middle of the field, use a guy like Jeremiyah Love in the slot, use him as a guy, we're running option routes out the backfield. We saw LSU do it. Why can't we do it at Notre Dame, right? It should be fireworks. I can't wait to see it.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. That's going to be it for us here at Lucky Underdogs. Joe DeLeon, Corey Holmes. Sure. Tune in next week. We'll be back with more as we track things that are going on during Notre Dame spring practices.